Hi there, hope you're doing very well. It's Q here. For this video, I have 10 handy dandy tips for working with the new timeline visual editor for Webflow's new interactions feature. So what you're seeing right here, it is the GSAP field. I just have it cloned onto my Webflow account. And starting with tip number 1, that is press spacebar to really quickly play and pause the timeline animation. So just have my hand right here, hand on the spacebar, thumb on the spacebar, pressing and toggling this will play and pause the timeline. I just have it playing at half speed for now just to make these demos a little bit easier. And this is a very important mechanic. So if you have done things like video editing or audio editing, you kind of always have your thumb in this position. And that's just because it allows you to preview the thing really fast. So in combination of pressing this thing on with your thumb, you can also click somewhere on the time ruler, that's what this thing is called, and you can jump to a previous position really quickly. This allows you to kind of really double check your animations in a really refined manner. So that's tip number 1. Tip number 2 is, I just have a regular mouse, I don't have a trackpad, so by holding shift and doing a mouse wheel, I can scroll the timeline horizontally. So that's really helpful for, if something is really long and you just need to change to like a different position in order for you to just see more of the timeline. And speaking of panning, tip number 3 is the hand tool. So the hand tool can be activated by holding H on your keyboard, and then you can click and drag, just using left click on your mouse to be able to move around the timeline like so. Alternatively, you can also, tip number 4, middle click to drag. So on my mouse, holding middle click, I can drag the exact same way as if I was holding H. And in tools like Figma and Adobe Premiere Pro, things like that, they usually have some kind of H tool, a hand tool, or middle click to move things around. So we've incorporated those mechanics into the timeline as well. Tip number 5 is the context menu. So the context menu appears when you right click somewhere in the timeline. You get a series of actions that you can perform based on wherever it is you clicked. So for example, if I were to right click on one of these guys, I get a little bit different stuff appearing here versus if I were to click into a blank space. Like if I were to click into, say, here. If I click here, I can only do a handful of things. If I click here, I can do a couple more things. Like I can change the color of the thing in the timeline like so. Okay? And in addition to the context menu, now that we're kind of engaging with these empty space stuff here, you can also, tip number, I don't know, I lost count at this point, 6, I think, zoom in and out of the timeline. So again, I just have a regular keyboard and mouse, no trackpad, but holding command on my keyboard, I can use my mouse wheel to zoom in and out of the timeline like so. And the zooming position, quite similar to Figma and FigJam, will center around wherever it is your mouse cursor is. So if my mouse cursor is here, it'll zoom in here. Mouse cursor is here, it'll zoom in here. And the combination of being able to zoom and then middle click to drag, it allows you to kind of find your place pretty naturally. And this is quite similar to other video editing tools out there. If you do have a trackpad like a macOS, an Apple trackpad, or just having your MacBook or something else, I believe that interaction does work as well, the pinch to zoom thing. So give that a shot. The next tip I have is to dupe. So to dupe or to duplicate, what you can do is by selecting an item like so, you can do Command C, Command V to copy and paste. Alternatively, I'm just going to delete that there. You can do Command D to dupe it as many times as you want. And of course, this is all part of our undo redo system. So you can dupe stuff, undo stuff, and like so, basically. Not only does it apply to one item, you can do it to multiple items. So if I were to select these things, I can dupe it. Now I have a duplicate of all 3 things. Next tip, adding an action in place. So you can add an action in place by right clicking on the timeline, click add action. It should appear wherever it is your mouse generally was when you did that. Alternatively, you can double click anywhere in the timeline and it should appear where your mouse was and roughly the track position of where it was. So for example, if I were to scroll holding shift and doing the mouse wheel somewhere over here, double click this, we now have an action here, double click this, have an action here, and I can move them around and do usual timeline things. I'm just going to select both and delete them. Oh yeah, in the timeline as well, you can see that we're able to draw boxes or selection box to select various things. Not only one thing, but then also multiple things. So I can select multiple things like so. While holding shift, I can click on other things to add it to my selection group. So this is a really nice mechanic if you want to, say, select a bunch of stuff, move something around, or select a bunch and deleting them. And the last tip I have for you, I think this is 11 at this point. I think I blew past 10. I'm now at 11. Is to show the outlines of all the animation targets within your timeline. So if I were to click on this, you can see there are now boxes around all the elements inside of Designer. So by scrubbing or hitting play, you can kind of get a better sense of how and where the things will move. And you notice the colors here. I have some oranges, some purples, and I believe some blues. They are synced to the colors that you have in your timeline. So if I were to say Command A, which is selecting all, right click, change the color to say blue, all the boxes should now be blue. I'm just going to undo that real quick. And the other interesting and helpful thing here as well is once you have outline mode turned on, you'll notice that once I start clicking things, the other boxes kind of dim. So the boxes kind of are more visible based on the things that you've selected. So if I were to select that, if I were to just select a bunch of these, you can see the boxes get a little bit more visible on my screen. I think there are a couple of things here that I can kind of select. Yeah, like these guys are a little bit more visible. Everything else is dim. If you were to select everything, then everything would be very visible. Or if you to select nothing at all, everything gets a full opacity. So that's it. This was a lot longer than I thought it would be originally, but I guess there are a lot of tips and ways for you to interact with and navigate the new timeline feature for interactions. Hopefully this was interesting or helpful. Best of luck and have fun animating. Have a great day. Catch you later. Bye.